Just took the Astro School of Astrology for Beginners.
I want to recommend Astro School of Astrology. I couldn't see myself taking a class from anybody else. That man knows his stuff. The way Astro is going to teach you, you're going to get a really good understanding. You're going to be able to master this information by the time you're done with this course.
We get lit in this class. We dive deep. We uncover some stuff. Some stuff might hurt. It forces you to face yourself. It forces you to learn about you.
And it's information that I've learned so far, I've already been able to incorporate in my life. It's super useful, even if you're not choosing for a career. It can help you out to understand the relationships that you have with close people. So
go ahead and click that button. Pay for the class. What you waiting on?
Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your boy Astro coming at you today again. I know we talked last night and we were talking about, my good friend, not really friend, Elijah Bishop, also known as you know, y'all know his name, the Nature Boy. Well, we're coming at you another again. It just leads down a rabbit hole. I just want you to know. All right, I just want to say hello to everybody that showed up. There you go. There you go. Thank you guys for being here. Y'all are always loved by me. That's right. Always. I appreciate you. Now, we got another conversation coming on, and this one may get a little raunchy. That's right. So because I'm going down this rabbit hole of most influential Black people on the earth. And, one of those was Elijah Muhammad. And, he was like one of the founding fathers of the Nation of Islam. And then, we happened to go about, talking about P. Diddy and also like stuff like the Obama's children and people like Nature Boy. Well, when looking at this list of very influential human beings, Black people, this name rang a bell. And I thought they were talking about Jesus. That's right. Jesus. Because when I saw the name Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, I was like, okay, it sounds like Yeshua ben Joseph. What Yahweh ben Yahweh really means is God, Son of God. And this is mostly all of us. We're all a product of creation and the Creator itself. So we are we're all children of God. That's right. But this particular human being, he was very interesting. And it so happens that I got his chart. That's right. I got his chart. Now, there was a speculation, using the midday method, which means at 12 p.m. Well, I went around the chart, looked at his, events that took place in life, studied him quite a bit, and figured out his time of birth is truly around the 12 p.m. mark. So I had to fine tune it based upon his physicality and also events that took place in his life. So I finally got his chart, and I thought it was amazing. I was like, this dude chart is screaming cult leader. Woo! Y'all have no idea. So if y'all don't know who I'm talking about, in the 1970s, there was a 1970s, 1980s, there was this leader of a group of spiritual people, religious, whatever you want to call it, called the Nation of Yahweh. They were led by Yahweh ben Yahweh. Now I know, like, you're trying to figure out, like, yeah, well, who is this dude? And he wasn't always Yahweh ben Yahweh. His real name was Hulon Mitchell Jr. Now, that's not the only name he went by, because according to what I see, he went by a whole lot of different names. Now, I want to say this to you. If you are here, it takes nothing of you to take your finger and hit that like button and then come right back and enjoy this informative live, because it gets informative. It helps the algorithm of myself and reaching people with this kind of information so they can learn astrology the same way you are learning it, by a person who's been studying it for over 30 years. I think that it's necessary in our world of needing to learn who we are and where we truly came from, or what we are here to do. So, Hulon Mitchell Jr., which was his birth name, okay, was one of 16 children. Not just, you know, not just one. Like, it just, it just, it's just something. You see what I'm saying? He had to fight. When you think about it, the man I had to fight all my life. All right. Now, like I said, he was an American religious leader, a black separatist, or what you consider a black supremacist, or, like I like to say, a black racist. And he founded the Nation of Yahweh. And at the time, it was a new religious movement, and the headquarters was located in Florida. And at its peak, it had thousands of Black American devotees. I'm talking about these people would get up and fall. He preached that Jesus was black and that white devils temporarily ruled over Black people, and was accused of teaching hate. Yahweh was indicated on 3 counts of federal racketeering and extortion charges, which he was found not guilty. However, he was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. Yes, I did say that. Commit murder. And I want to be fair with it. He was one of 15 children, not 16. His father was a minister of the Antioch Church of God. Okay, and let me just put up his picture so y'all can know exactly who I'm talking about. All right. The man that we speak of is this man right here. That's the man right there. Or a better picture right there. So this is the guy we speak of. This is him. All right. This is the guy we speak of. That's him right there. So now you know who we're talking about. This is him. Now, he was one of 15 children born to his father, which is Hulon Mitchell Sr., the minister of the Antioch Church of God of Christ. And indeed, he he had his mom and dad. They were married. I truly feel like they were toxic. This is just my belief based upon his placements. All right. Now, he left Oklahoma because that's where he was born. And he joined the military, and then he attended law school, and then he moved to Atlanta, where in the 1960s he joined the Nation of Islam and took the name Hulon X. Don't that sound familiar? Who that sound like? Don't that sound like Malcolm X? Well, after leaving the Nation of Islam in the 1960s, he became a faith-healing Christian preacher, and he named himself Father Mitchell. That's right. He literally, like fashioned himself after Father Divine and Samuel Father Jehovah Morris, too. That was two African American ministers and self-proclaimed divine connection to God who were active during the early 20th century. Now, Mitchell moved to Miami, Florida in 1978, where he gathered members of the city's Black Hebrew Israelite congregation and founded the Nation of Yahweh. Believe it or not, the Nation of Yahweh still exists to this day. Okay? But the headquarters was set up in Liberty City, one of the very most notoriously dangerous place in Florida. That's right. Especially in Miami. That was a place when I you'd be scared to go through Liberty City. You're not supposed to be going through there. All right. Now, broadly classified as a branch of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement, Mitchell doctrine emphasized the belief that God and all the prophets of the Bible were Black, and that Blacks would gain the knowledge of their true history through Mitchell himself. He also characterized whites and Jews as infidels and oppressors. Mitchell emphasized loyalty to himself as the Son of God. That's right. That's why he took on the name Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Now, that don't mean that Mitchell didn't do great things. As a matter of fact, he had millions of dollars. His followers gave money, and they tried to figure out not just his followers. They didn't give enough money. The man literally had millions of dollars filtering through his bank account. And up to this day, people are still speculating where this money came from, even though he does not exist anymore. All right. He had so much influences because what he did was in Liberty City and other places, he bought apartment complexes and rented them out. He built convenience stores and farms, and he literally grew a little bit of money to a lot of bit of money, to about the wealth of $100 million. And that was in the 70s, 80s. That was in the 80s. You hear me? In the 80s, $100 million is equivalent to having $1.97 million. That's $197 million. The man was rich, and everybody tried to figure out where the man was getting the money from. The congregations were giving donations, but they're not to the self. He didn't bother with, having these people to come to him for money. He didn't. Okay. And I know some of y'all who are, Israelite followers, and, I want to let you know that some of these organizations were literally, all right, were funded by people who had their own agenda. Okay? They had their own agenda. But now, some of these people, some of the people who are affiliated with this kind of religious or spiritual community is in our community today. Spewing the same hate, the same disinformation that was spilled then. Some of y'all know them as the Hotep men. However, these people don't know why they preach what they preach. All they know is Black is power. And that is, to some degree, true. Physically, Black men can withstand certain temperatures and are physically stronger. more agile, and that's because their DNA was created from the original beings, which was the Anunnakis. Okay, but that's another topic on its own. We ain't gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that another day. Now the topic is about Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, the nation of Yahweh leader, which, like I said, even in spiritual community, some of you guys still follow his teachings and don't even know. Some of y'all don't even know who this man is. Never even heard of him. Never even know that he exists. But one of you knows somebody who follows his teaching. Every single one of you know somebody who follows his man's teaching. So anyway, in Miami, he ruled with an iron fist. Yes, he ruled with an iron fist. Not only that, he also had very strange tendencies. And I'm going to pull up the chart so we could dissect this, but I'm giving you the backstory about this man so that when you look at the chart, it's going to make sense to you. So he would, any man that was in his community, the nation of Yahweh, that wasn't circumcised, he would perform the circumcisions his damn self. That's right. His damn self. He concluded that any man that wasn't circumcised was a man that was unclean, unfit to be with a woman. He did the circumcision himself on the children who were born, the boys. And also, in his group of people with the women, he believed that the clitoris of a woman could be resuscitated. By CPR and putting the mouth on the genitals to blow air into it so that it could be resuscitated. Y'all, I listen to me carefully, okay? I don't mean to be laughing. I don't mean to be laughing, y'all. But god damn. You hear me? Yes, y'all thought that Nature Boy was something. We ain't even got into it yet. That's only, the resuscitation of the clitoris and then him circumcising people. So the reason why he went from one religion to the next is because, first off, he got removed from the Nation of Islam because of racketeering and pedophilia. That's right. He was having sex with little girls. Little Sharon. They was like, you are excommunicata. But not in a very bad way, because he had a lot of pull. This man was magnetic. So you trying to get rid of this dude, look, and this was him, how he looked when he was in the Nation of Islam. This is him right here. So, the man was smooth, charismatic. He just knew what to say, how to say it. But as they had to remove him. They had to disassociate themselves with the man being a pedophile. Very unorthodox. His chart shows it. We're going to get into that as well. So beyond that, he started, and he went into being a pastor, a Christian. So he went from his daddy being a Christian to going to the Nation of Islam to going to being a Christian, and he was one of those, how should I put it, those prosperity pastors, until the people in his congregation sued him for scamming them. So he scammed some of his people who went to the church that he went to as well. Well, he was like, you know what? I'm going to just redo and renew my old self and create a new version of me. And I shall name it Yahweh Ben Yahweh. But there's a secret behind that name. You see, it's rumored that he was aligned with Gaddafi. That's right, the Liberian from Libya, the president, the prime minister, the leader that was killed by the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he was receiving money out of nowhere from this group of people to reign terror. So what this man was doing is if there was a person that defected from his congregation, and this person was going to drag 16 other people with him. That's where the number 16 comes. 16 other of the congregation with them. This man literally had his, what they consider circle or angel of death. He had 10 men around him that they were security. They were called the angel of death. Angels of death. Okay? And they beat this man with a car jack, rolled him up in a rug, and tossed him after chopping his head off with a dull machete. Tossed him. And I know y'all think that this is just a crazy man, but it wasn't just a crazy man. It was crazy men, not just a crazy man. Because even after that, he went on the pulpit and was talking about, yes, well, I am God's son. Nothing could happen to me. To the point where the followers started to believe him. And, because they wanted to, confess their love for Yahweh, they decided on doing a human sacrifice. So they took a homeless man and they did a sacrifice. They found his body, believe it or not, right in the front of the temple, stabbed 13 times. 13 times. And his body was right there at the door of the temple. Do you believe that nobody got charged with that murder? This is correct. The only reason why we know about this is because a man, after a little while, came and testified against him. Mm-hmm. He was not having it. And this man, his name was Khalil Amani. Now, Khalil Amani was one of the guys who, the angels of death. There was another guy called Rob Israel. And there was another one. And there was another one, and another one. But, that wasn't just the only killings. There was also a married couple and another guy. And the guy who they chopped off, he was living with the married couple. They were very, very close. And the angels of death, these men dressed up in white, that's right. They look just like this. Dressed up in all white. No other color. None. No other color. Just white. And they went and they bombed. Went in the house, shot the husband, shot the wife. And she suffered, but she didn't die. She didn't die. Okay? She survived to tell the story. So she went on an interview saying that she feels as if the nation of Yahweh did that, killed her husband and killed the other person, and it was just crazy. With Yahweh ben Yahweh, he actually, he would ask for things. The things he asked for was people's ears, the white man's ears. He called the white man the devil. And he needed to get rid of people. Because what happened is he started to buy complexes in Florida. Some of these people would not want to move, so he just chopped off their ears and killed them. And they had to bring the heirs to him. No, Nature Boy ain't got nothing on his mind. Nothing at all. Like Spirit Moon say, he got Nature Boy beat. So on chopping off people's ears and beheading them and blowing up their houses and so on, so he felt justified. He did. Now, there was this one time when the nation of Yahweh bought another big complex in Miami, and they went there. The nation of Islam, the whole church, the whole congregation, almost 900 of them. There's not all of them. It's 900. There's a lot of them. There's thousands of them. Went there and they cleaned up, took all these old houses. Old furnitures out of this. And they were moving the people out. Well, these two men, black men, refused to move. And they were cussing. They went on radio saying, yeah, on television actually, did interviews saying, yeah, we ain't moving nowhere. They gotta move us out of here. Okay? We're not doing that. We ain't trying to go nowhere. Within 6 hours of that interview, those two black men, one was shot in the head 3 times, in the back 4 times. The other one shot once in the head and multiple times during the body. Now, these were black fathers who were the parents of kids. Because they didn't move, the angels of death got them. Black on black crime. That's right. But y'all don't know the deeper part about it. The deeper part about it is that Yahweh ben Yahweh had to display some form of tyranny in order for him to continue to get money from these groups of people from Libya, or what do you say, from Gaddafi, so that he could set a presence that any white man or any person could be got, even if they're not in the United States of America. So he had to reign with terror. And he reigned with terror, not just with the white man, but also with the black man as well. But you see, he made a mistake. One of the guys was an the angels of that was a ex-football player. And he gave his Yahweh's name, his Israel name, and then they also gave his real name. They locked him up because they found out, then they charged him with murder. After that, he started singing like Jennifer Hudson. You hear me? And he indicated that that this man right here was the head of all the murders that was taking place. Now, this man, Yahweh ben Yahweh, also, like we said, real name was, as you know, Elon Mitchell. He was arrested. He was arrested, y'all. And they even though the man was confessing that, this man was so and so, Rob, his story was so they didn't really believe him. As a matter of fact, I think they were afraid, because what happened is Yahweh ben Yahweh started killing, believe it or not, the witnesses. And even the secretary that worked for the judge and the secretary of the district attorney, and these people just started getting murdered, killed. This dude was savage. I can't believe that y'all don't even know this man. They really kept this undercover. A lot of people don't even know this story. Do y'all know it? Please tell me. I want to know, because some of y'all seem very, very puzzled. Y'all don't know who the hell this man is I'm talking about. They kept this under wraps. Anyway, so those people started going missing. the witnesses and the jurors started to get really afraid. So it wasn't a unanimous decision. He was definitely charged with racketeering and charged with conspiracy to commit murder. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison because most of the stories about the other murders didn't really stand with the jury. So he was sentenced to 18 years, of which he only served 11. Okay. However, you would have think that the money would have dried up. It didn't. Now we're gonna pull up the man's chart. Now that you heard this story, all right. Now that you understand a little bit of the diabolicalness that he could have possibly did, all right. He still has his reach or outreach, even though he's not here, in Canada, in Montreal, and in Toronto, and still in the United States of America. As a matter of fact, some of his followers still, defected into other Israelites or Black Hebrew, or the Hebrew Israelite community. Only 6 of the 10 angels of death was charged. That means that 4 of those 10 persons are still roaming around today, around in the Black Hebrew Israelite communities, the same ones that y'all see going Hotep. So let's pull up his chart and let's take a look at this man's chart. Okay. Share my screen. And we're going to look at how a man like that can be seen through his chart. Now, I rectified his time of birth. They did 12 o'clock. I said it didn't sound right. As you know, anything dealing with a spiritual leader has to deal with the ascendant and 11th degree. And I really, truly hold firm to that. There's other degrees as well, but this one is what I'm truly left to. So he's born 12/11 p.m. with Kingfisher, Oklahoma, USA. As you can see, his ascendant is in Capricorn. All right, in Capricorn. Now, if you take a look at some Capricorn, risings, and I know some, I know a whole lot of them. I know thousands of them. He does have a striking resemblance to the Capricorn energy. He does. Okay. When you look at his face, that's what it looks like. He looks like a Capricorn rising. Now, the Capricorn rising, the 2nd degree, which brings it into Taurus. Taurus rules money, assets, finances, stability. And as you can see, he was a sort of a chubby-faced person, even when he was younger. So it gave me a little tinge of, this sounds like the 2nd decan of Capricorn. His moon and his sun, as you can see here, is in Scorpio. The reason why I thought of him being born around this time is because he was a leader, which is represented by the sun, of a group of people or a community, which is also connected to the 11th house or associations. And his MC, which represents what you'd be seen as, is conjunct the sun. Clear indication that this is possibly his time of birth, because he rose to prominence very, very strongly. And he ruled with an iron fist. So he had moon in Scorpio, sun in Scorpio, Jupiter in Scorpio, MC in Scorpio. All right? Whenever you see this combination, especially with the MC in Scorpio, this is somebody who wants ultimate power. And it's not like thank you. It's not like that's a good or a bad thing. Well, for me, thank you. It is what it is. Oh, no. Can you put this up for me, please? Thank you. All right. It isn't a good or bad thing. It is what it is. If you were born and wired for power and for that's just what you're here to do. Now, with all this placement of the Scorpio sitting in, that he would be known as a leader, hidden leader, controlling leader. And that's because Scorpio, the energy of Scorpio, is about sex, death, regeneration, power, control. That's just what it is, what it is. So we know that is definitely correct. Okay. Now I know you're trying to figure like what how did murder and all this stuff. This dude had a death squad, meaning a group of friends, associates that murdered him. When you look at Jupiter and Scorpio sitting in the 11th house and in the sign of Scorpio, this sounds like somebody who can get a group of people to do his bidding. Now, I am under the true belief that he actually got money from other organizations from different parts of the world. And I believe that it was done to do some dirty work. The reason why I'm going to tell you that is because when you look at his chart, the 9th house rules foreign places, foreign cultures. And he has Venus conjunct Neptune, conjunct dark moon Lilith in the sign of Virgo, which means that he was receiving money because Venus rules money, assets, hidden money, which is also connected to Neptune for spirituality, but under the guise of work, for work. What kind of work? Because dark moon Lilith is a Virgo, he was basically a slave. A foreign place. Looking at his very peculiar way of dealing with children, you take a look at his Uranus sitting in the 5th house. I know y'all like, damn, that's true. Some of y'all like, man, but I got Uranus in the 5th house. And I'm not like that. Well, you are open to a very unorthodox way of sex, whether you like to admit that or not. And Uranus in the 5th house can be just that. Now, with Uranus being in Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus, which brings it back up to to Venus in Virgo. Venus in Virgo is in fall. It does not like being in the sign of Virgo. And besides the fact that it's not really in a great place at all, which sign it likes being in, means that some of the negative traits are going to be more present than the positive traits. And he had a very peculiar way of dealing with health. He said he was a healer, and he felt as if, you're not healthy if you're a boy and you got a little bit of skin on your penis. That ain't peculiar. If that ain't Uranus in the 5th house, I don't know what is. So that's true to this. Also, dealing with younger kids, virgins. And look, he has Venus in the sign of Virgo. And Venus is the ruler of his 5th house of children and romantic relationships. So he was dibbling and dabbling, having sex with the people, with younger kids, based upon this chart. Now, you're trying to figure out like when it comes to the dad. Now, remember I taught you how the sun and the Saturn are indicators of the father or his father. And his father was a spiritual man that preached. Okay. Saturn, father, Pisces, spiritual, 3rd house, communication. And his father, which is also the sun, was a very secretive man, very controlling. But also he was a figure, him and his wife. Okay. Now, with the moon being in Scorpio, you already know the moon does not like being in the sign of Scorpio. And the sun does not like being in the sign in the 11th house. I feel as if, based upon this, I don't feel like his daddy was his daddy. I feel as if his father was a surrogate father. And after having 15 kids, that woman was like, I already got 15. I done seen this penis all my whole life. I think I need to try a new one. And I truly feel like Barack Obama's daughter, that his daddy wasn't really his daddy. Now, we don't have the capabilities of figuring this out, but I'm giving you my astrological perspective. Now, looking at his chart, I know you say, well, what in the chart shows murder, killing? First and foremost, Sun in 11th house in Scorpio, Moon in 11th house in Scorpio, then he has Jupiter in Scorpio. Remember when we looked at what's his name? Nature Boy. He also had Jupiter in Scorpio. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't it? See, Scorpio desires ultimate power. Is it coincidental that Nature Boy had his followers calling him God? And he, often used his power to subdue his followers, the same way how Yahweh ben Yahweh did. If you are around here and you got Jupiter and Scorpio, I'm watching you. My eyes is on you. Because you have a way of attracting other people's money toward you. The same way how this man does. Now, looking at his second house, which has Uranus, Aquarius sitting on it, Aquarius rules groups of people, social media, friends and associates, humanitarian efforts, dealing with the collective. As you know, he uses money to build communities, to build convenience stores and shops and apartment complexes, and he literally was spending his money on a group, on the community itself. Because Aquarius, the sign here, is ruled by this planet here, in Taurus, which is Uranus in Taurus. It means that his natural talent, okay, was to attract money for groups of people, for humanitarian efforts. Okay, that's just what I see here when it comes to that. His sixth house has Chiron there and Gemini there. Now, I know people are like, so what was his, how did he die? When you look at the eighth house, the eighth house literally tells you, what'll cause you death. And I know I'm not supposed to be saying that. I need to have more astrological ethics. Well, let me tell you something. Okay? Let me explain to y'all something. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let my friend show you. I don't give a flying. That's right. I don't. So, by looking at his eighth house has Leo on it. Leo is ruled by the sun. And his sun is conjunct MC, conjunct the moon, but it's also in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio rules sex, death, regeneration, but it also rules the reproductive organs, the sexual organs, the excretory organs. It so happened that Yahweh ben Yahweh died of prostate cancer, which is a sexual organ of the male gender. The sun, the rule of the eighth house, sitting in Scorpio, and the sun ruling like the heart of, and that's where the heart of the sexual energy from male comes from. So he died from prostate cancer based upon what they said. Now, he said something else. Spirit Moon said his natural talent was murder. Believe it or not, he was a businessman, and I didn't tell you all this, but also his business partner, for some apparent reason, was murdered. He also has, on his 7th house of partnership, he has Pluto sitting there. Pluto is in the sign of Cancer. And Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is sitting in the sign of Scorpio. So if you ask me, who killed his partner? Astrologically, I'll tell you that it was him. He killed him. Y'all got any questions about this man? Because according to what I'm telling you, yeah, he lived out his purpose. How I know that is because his North Node is in Capricorn in the 1st house, which means that he was here to be an authority, a leader of some sort, to organize and structure. To know what he came to organize and structure, you take a look at the ruler of Capricorn, and that is Saturn. His Saturn is in Pisces in the 3rd house. The 3rd house rules neighborhood. Pisces rules spiritual. I would say that him bringing those people together and forming a neighborhood and, creating a space for his spiritual community was what he came here to do. To be a leader, organize the spiritual neighborhood. And with his Neptune sitting in Virgo in the 6th house, also to connect with foreign governments, foreign people, receive money from them, and do their dirty work based upon dark moon Lilith conjunct. The question was asked is, does he have children? Well, let's take a look. Let's see if he had kids. Oh, he did. He had a daughter named Vanita Mitchell and Lavia Mitchell. Those were his children. So he did have kids. He had 2 of them that we know about. All right, y'all. Well, that's an astrological reading of this man, the legend himself, the man, the myth, the one who went from being a Christian pastor to being a Muslim to being this guy here. And y'all, that's not the scary part before I close. We now have a younger version of him using the same name on Facebook. You could find him. You could follow him. His name is Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And look, he looks similar to the man himself. This is him now. Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Boy, what I would do to get a hold of his chart. We'd be able to predict these things going down before it goes down. And this is why these podcasts and these lives are important. So y'all can push them out, like them, share. Because the more persons know astrology, the more we understand the world around us. As you know, it's your boy Astro. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you for every single person that came here. Okay. Every one of you. You are the MVP. You are my heroes, I would say. And I want to always give you that. You are truly appreciated here. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Rest well for those who are on that side of the world. Good night.